All right, today we're diving into a world that's pretty much hidden in plain sight. A place where the very idea of life gets a little blurry and starts to look more like complex chemistry. We're going to meet some of nature's most amazing partners and also some of its most stripped-down bare-bones invaders.
So get this. What do a rock, the flu, and a sick potato plant all have in common? I know, it sounds like the beginning of a really weird joke, right? They seem like they're from totally different worlds, but believe it or not, they share this incredible connection at the microscopic level. Let's unravel this thing.
We're going to kick things off with the most complex character in our story today, the lichen. You've definitely seen him, maybe clinging to a tree or a rock, and you probably thought, oh, it's some kind of moss. But it's so much more than that. It's actually a powerhouse partnership, one of nature's biggest success stories.
So what's their secret? How do they do it? Well, it all comes down to this one incredible concept, symbiosis. Just think of it like a biological deal, an alliance where two totally different species decide to move in together for the long haul, and both of them get something great out of the deal. It's the ultimate form of teamwork.
Honestly, it's like the perfect roommate situation. You've got the fungus, which basically builds the house. It provides the structure, it collects water, it pulls in minerals from the environment, and in return, you have the alga, which can do photosynthesis. The alga is basically the live-in chef, using sunlight to whip up tasty, energy-rich food for both of them. It's a perfect give and take.
And this team-up makes lichens some of nature's toughest pioneers. I mean, these guys can grow on bare rock. They can survive in the freezing cold where almost nothing else can. But they do have one weakness: air pollution. They're super sensitive to it, which actually makes them fantastic bioindicators. So here's a tip. If you see a bunch of healthy-looking lichens around, you can bet the air you're breathing is pretty clean.
Okay, so we've just seen this beautiful story of cooperation. Now we're going to completely flip the script and dive into a story of, well, cellular espionage. We're moving down the complexity ladder into the wild world of the virus, a true master of hijacking living cells for its own purposes.
You know, the craziest thing about viruses is that they're kind of in this gray area. They aren't even technically considered living cells. They're unbelievably simple, just a bit of genetic code wrapped up in a protein shell. And their one and only goal in life? To find a living cell and take over its machinery to make more copies of themselves.
Here's a cool way to think about it. A virus is like a pirate's map. The genetic stuff inside, the DNA or RNA, that's the map. It holds all the instructions for the raid. It's kept super safe inside this little treasure chest, which is the protein code. But, of course, a map by itself is useless, right? You need a ship and a crew. And for a virus, that ship is a living cell that it has to board and completely take over. So that protein code, that little treasure chest, it seems pretty important, doesn't it? It's protecting the precious map. But what if? What if you could just get rid of it? What if you stripped it all away, leaving just the bare instructions? Could a naked map still cause total chaos?
Oh, you better believe it can. And that brings us to the absolute minimalist of the biological world. An entity so ridiculously simple, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. Everybody, meet the simplest invader imaginable, the viroid.
Okay, prepare yourself for a whole new level of simple. A viroid is way, way smaller and more basic than even a virus. It has no protein coat, no protective shell, absolutely nothing. It is, and this is the wild part, literally just a single, naked, infectious strand of RNA. That's it. That's the whole shebang.
So if the virus is the pirate's map inside the treasure chest, a viroid is just the map. And somehow this tiny, unprotected little molecule is still a serious threat. It works its way into a plant cell and tricks the cell's own machinery into making tons and tons of copies of it. This just completely messes up the plant's normal functions and causes diseases. The famous potato spindle tuber disease? Yep, that's the work of one of these tiny invaders.
All right, what a journey, huh? We've gone from a complex, living partnership to a coded cellular pirate, and then all the way down to a single, naked strand of RNA. So now let's zoom out and put all three of them side by side to really appreciate the whole incredible spectrum we've been looking at. This chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one end of the spectrum, you have the lichen, a totally self-sufficient team of two actual living things working together. Then, in the middle, you have the virus, a non-cellular parasite, protein code and all, that absolutely needs a host to do anything. And then, at the far end of simplicity, the viroid, literally nothing but a rogue piece of RNA. We've gone from collaboration to pure stripped-down information warfare.
And so that brings us right back to our big mystery. From the living partnership that can literally create new soil on a bare rock to a single molecule that can wipe out an entire field of crops, these things just don't fit into our neat little boxes. They live in that strange, blurry space between a chemical and a creature, and they force us to ask a really fundamental question. What does it truly mean to be alive?